I found out that my mom and stepdad enrolled their real children in a private school they withdrew me from because they don't have money. Now their life is in shambles. Growing up, I had thought that I had a good relationship with my parents and my 3 younger siblings. However, around 5th grade, my relationship had begun to change. I had always excelled at school, so my parents sent me to a private school that had really good test scores and students had good placements in colleges later on. However, my last year I was really excited to go on to a private middle school that all of my friends and I had gotten accepted into. Unfortunately, at that time my parents sat me down and explained to me that they did not have the money to pay for my tuition. So, I would be enrolled in the local public middle school the following year. Towards the end of 5th grade, we were doing science class, and my teacher started our intro to genetics unit. That lesson has stayed with me since, because my appearance is so different compared to my parents. As of now I'm in my 20s and I share literally no features with my mom. So, I started to begin asking my teacher some very difficult questions about genetics in class, and after answering which traits tend to be dominant, she realized where I was going and immediately shut me down. Over that summer I read pretty much every book I could on the subject before I did something dumb. I went to my dad and asked him if I was adopted. This conversation didn't end well. I don't remember everything that was said, but it escalated very quickly and ended with him hitting me. My dad hit me so hard that he actually broke my right cheekbone. My mom rushed me to the hospital, and I was coached saying that I was accidentally hit by a doorknob. I eventually had to repeat the same thing to CPS. After a week back from the hospital, my mom and dad revealed to me that he was actually my stepdad. When they were in college, my mom was dating a guy who she said was a real a-hole. When they found out that she was pregnant, he left her, but my stepdad stepped up and did everything that he could, and they put his name on my birth certificate. My mom then explained that when I confronted my stepdad it really hurt him and lashed out in anger. It was wrong and they both asked for forgiveness. I unfortunately agreed. We seemed to go back to being a somewhat normal family again, but I began to notice things that I didn't before. Whenever my younger siblings needed something, my mom and stepdad would drop everything to help them. Meanwhile, I was told to figure it out myself. For birthdays I would get next to no attention, usually just a hug from my mom. I didn't even get a cake after I turned 6. Meanwhile, my siblings would get a party and the work pulled out for them. My stepdad would come back from work and wanted nothing to do with me. Middle school was absolutely hell. I was and still am an introvert who would usually rather be by himself reading than talking to people. In my old school, I was still the odd one out, but I didn't get singled out for it and had friends. At the public school I was quickly singled out and bullied, which caused my mental health severely declined, and my parents refused to intervene because it would toughen you up. I was bullied, but I fought back and then they became my friends. That's just how guys become friends. Of course, I am sure anyone here can assume correctly that the facility was about as helpful. I did try to fight back once and all it did was get 3 different kids to gang up on me and be suspended for 3 days. The only friend that I was able to make was an older kid called Devin. Devin was 3 years older than me, but he actually took sympathy on me and decided to protect me from my bullies. Over the next 3 years, my situation at home quickly began to decline. My younger siblings had picked up on my parents' apathy and my decreased confidence and began to harass me. If they wanted something I had, they took it. They would call me names and would play pranks on me, which when I told my parents told me I needed to lighten up. Needless to say, this did not help my situation. My parents also became extremely harsh on me, and I did get beaten from time to time. Towards the end of my first year of middle school I came home from the library, and I saw a letter from the middle school that I wanted to go to. I immediately opened it. It was a letter declining the application for my younger siblings. I did not see anything for me, so I went to my parents. They punished me for opening their mail, but when I pushed it, they told me that my younger siblings did more to deserve going to that middle school. Mind you, at this time, and before I had near perfect grades, when I argued that if they could afford to send my siblings then I should be able to go, I was beaten for talking back and opening my parents' mail. One day during the early part of 8th grade, I broke down and told Devin about my biological father. I had been having thoughts about why he abandoned me when he found out, how it was partially his fault that my life was the way it was. There was a lot else I said, but that was the key part. During my venting session I revealed that my mom had let my dad's first and last name slip recently, and I knew his name. So, Devin offered help me research my dad. That day Devin and I went to his house and began to essentially cyberstalk him.